Welcome to the Lust for Life podcast, where Jake and I discuss and just journal about our weeks, and it's just something fun that we do together, and we hope you enjoy it as well. This week, we are near the Panama City Ironman.
Race week! Woo, 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 woo! Race week! Woo!
I have endured this energy for the last 3 days. I think I figured out how Jake gets nervous. He's very explicit, like vocal about his nerves in a way like he just shows a lot of energy.
I'm always energy.
Yeah, but not like this.
I also had a sleep score of 87 last night, tied for my PR.
With his Garmin, it rates your sleep score. Yeah. Anyway, like for example, today I was just packing and got a little tired. It was like 12 and I was like, I'm just gonna lay down for like a minute. Like I just need to relax. And I was just getting kind of in my head about packing, and I'm like, I just need to like reset my brain, and like a quick nap just helps reset the nerves, and the excitement just kind of brings everything back to homeostasis. Anyway, I'm laying down and I'm like near asleep. And I'll just preface, we keep a gun by our bed. And anyway, I hear this like clicking at my front door, and I'm like, what is that noise? And we have kind of a crazy neighbor that genuinely is terrifying, and I would not be surprised if he like tried to murder me. And I know that sounds insane, but Jake can testify that he hates my guts. Anyway, I didn't do anything wrong, but anyway. So in my mind, I'm thinking this neighbor is making his move, and he's trying to get in my freaking house right now. Like, I was actually really scared. And then I was like, okay, if I hear one more click on that doorknob, like someone's picking the lock, I'm pulling out the gun. Like, and sure enough, I hear another click, and Jake busts through the front door. He was sneaky and tried to be sneaky, unlocked the door, and is blasting the Panama City song. What is that called?
Panama.
It's called Panama, apparently. He blasting it, like singing the song, coming in. I didn't even know what was going on. Like,
I thought you were gonna, I
was a little mad at first.
We were trying to put a new tire on her bike, so I thought she was gonna be here. I didn't know she'd be able to hear me. I just put the key in just one little snotch at a time, and then the last one just cranked open the deadbolt, burst open the door, and just pressed play, volume up, full blast. Panama. That one. But
this is just what my week has been. This energy.
But I look, I'm like, where is she? And then she's in the bed, just sits up with a look like, grrr.
I was like, oh my gosh. I was like ready. Like, I was ready. I was a little nervous that it was our crazy neighbor. I shouldn't say crazy neighbor, but he hates my guts. No idea why, but like one morning I said good morning to him, and he just started like yelling at me and saying naughty words. So that was fun. Anyway, that type of energy is what we've been working with Jake. Is that how you show your nerves?
No, I was just excited. I had a good sleep.
Yeah,
I've done things like that before.
I think you're like a little extra energetic because you are nervous.
Maybe.
But he's been repeating the Panama song.
Oh, frick.
He's playing with his bike right now. He may have broke a water bottle holder. We need that. Okay, well, that happened today, so I'm sure it'll continue throughout the week. It is Monday today, and Lucy and we're bringing Lucy to Florida. I always just try to bring her. I feel like I'm just so emotionally attached to her. Any dog owner probably knows. Whenever we get a chance, we just take her with us. It's just hard to leave her and just know that she's not with us. Like, when was the last time we left her? It's been a long time since we've left Lucy.
I don't.
One time? 2 times? One time when we went to Turks and Caicos?
Yeah, we haven't left her since we lived here.
Yeah, we haven't left her at all because we just love having her with us. So she's coming to Florida. So Lucy and I are driving down to Florida a couple days before, and then Jake is flying out. But it will be really fun to have a girls' road trip, but we'll miss you. Jake has some tests that he has to do. We kind of talked about this on the previous podcast, I think. Jake's flying in the day before, and he has a 30-minute layover.
35.
Jake is now saying 35 in Atlanta, the biggest airport. So Jake will be hitting a PR and probably sore the next day from running through the airport. But we timed everything and he may just not make it. So we may not make it. So I don't know. I just can't really think about it because, as everybody knows, I like have anxiety about all that, and airports are just my nemesis. But that's our week. We're just getting ready. My bike's ready to go. Jake's chain has how many miles on it? Over 3,000 miles on it. And it's too late now. We're just going to ride it out because you're only supposed to have like, it's max 2,000 miles on a chain, right?
Some things have said depending on the chain.
Okay.
It can go up to 3,000.
Okay. But this is also an older chain. It's not like we replaced it last year.
I don't know how good it is.
Yeah, it's an old... Anyway, Jake is just flying by is it seat of your pants, how you say it? Yeah. Jake's... We hope that it would be a miracle if we both cross that finish line or even make it to the start line, to be honest, because my knee's been acting up this week and I've been praying that it is okay for the race, and we will see. We will see. We'll be taking ibuprofen, that is for sure. But yeah, lots going on this week. But we were reflecting this week on lessons we've learned throughout training, because the cliche saying, it's the journey, not the destination. We've had so much fun training together, and we're blessed that we were able to train together so much, even though we were separated through the summer while Jake was in Nashville. Jake, do you want to share what you've learned?
Yeah, there's been a lot that I've learned. I mean, with anything, like I talked about on the Pull Up podcast a while ago, there's just so much that you can learn while training for an event about yourself. And as I keep training for more things that, I never thought I'd be able to even run a marathon back when I ran a marathon in February, trained for that. And then I remember thinking, there's no way, I'm in medical school right now, there's absolutely no way I'd ever be able to train for and do an Ironman. That's just way too much time. But then wow, okay, I was able to manage my time and be disciplined and be consistent. And here I am today. Never thought, if you asked me, literally, I remember saying that to you. I'd really like to do an Ironman, but there's no way I could do that in medical school right now. But yeah, that was a lie. But as I keep doing these things, I'm just trying to just keep refining myself and to be the best version of myself, not athlete-wise, but all around. And just to be the best version of myself, and you're just always refining, like I said, I just keep noticing little things here and there during my training about me. So one, yes, I have to have really good time management to be able to balance school and training and everything. But especially these last few weeks, I thought 3 weeks ago, I'm oh, my time management's good. And then the last few weeks, I'm actually it still can improve a lot. I still got a long ways to go. I can get distracted so easily, and yes, it's helping me. I'm just finding out ways to still be better. And I think a lot of times you have to be in this situation where I'm just so focused on improvement in everything. Then I can see these little things, because I wouldn't have picked that up. Yeah, I sit down and I can study for 3 hours, but maybe in reality I'm only doing 2.5 hours of studying, or just something like that. So there's still so much room to improve. Or even just I pull out my phone and just as I'm walking somewhere, but then I notice by looking at my phone as I'm walking, that slows me down. Or half the time I'm between classes and I might just talk to someone just for the sake of talking. It's really just a pointless conversation. It's doesn't get anywhere. Nothing really happens. I'm I could have just done 10 minutes worth of stuff just barely in that time. So I've just noticed a lot of places where I just waste time. Not saying that having conversations with people are good, but it's a conversation. Just
kind of hanging out, versus kind of a conversation.
Yeah, you guys both are just having a conversation to pass the time.
Yeah.
Was it? There's no meaning. It's the time, the hourglass in Harry Potter. It's if it falls fast, it's a productive conversation. If it's slow, it's not productive.
Yeah.
It's those very slow ones where you're just talking to talk. Nothing's coming out of it. So I'm wasting my time in these. And and I feel like I'm being productive, but I'm really not. So it's been...
There's like that faux productivity. You think
Yeah.
you're being productive, and you convince yourself you're being productive when you're not.
It's like one of my favorite stories is these two friends went fishing. They each got there at the same exact time, and one friend got there immediately, threw his line in the water, was reeling in fish all day long. The other friend, though, he was throwing it in, pull it back, started changing his hooks around, took a little break for lunch, threw it in, changed his hooks, changed his line, all this, and at the end of the day, he's like, shoot, how did you catch so many more fish than me? Like, we were fishing, we each fished the same amount of time. Why did you catch so many more? And the friend's like, we didn't fish the same amount of time. Like, we were here the same amount of time, but my line was in the water way more than yours. So just like little things like that I've just been noticing that I can really improve on. There's obviously a lot of other things that I've realized about myself, but that's just the one that I've been really thinking a lot about lately. And just like another thing too is so many times I think we look up to people and hold them at like who are able to like accomplish things, that hold them at like such a high standard, like holy cow, they did this, there's no way I could ever be able to do that, or well, they're like so much better than me or something. But then that's like not the case. You just go and do it yourself and you're like, oh wow, or like, oh my gosh, this person's so much smarter than me, and then you talk with them and you're like, actually we're the same. Like
They just maybe like have a little bit more
Yeah.
drive to do what you want to do.
Yeah, and like I can contribute actually more in certain areas, and they can contribute more in certain areas. So it's like, I think we're a lot of times better than we give ourselves credit for, and with just like dedication, consistency, we can be shocked at what we can accomplish.
And I think like also just like the saying like, why not you? Like, if it's possible, why can't you do it?
Yeah, it sounds
so many
so-
people have done it. You can too. Like, just bet on yourself. Like,
It sounds like such a cliche saying, but it is like so true. Literally, there's no goal that you can't accomplish.
yeah, I really like that. I like those reflections that you've had. I'm trying to think what I've learned throughout Ironman training. There's been so many ups and downs. Like, I think number one lesson is I'm not invincible. I feel like physically, I'm really good at overtraining because in my mind, I've just trained my mind that if I'm the hardest worker, I'll be the best. And like, it kind of goes along with what Jake's saying. If I'm the friend sitting next to you fishing, but I'm fiddling with everything instead of just doing the productive work, then I'm not going to be as good. And so I'm kind of relating that to my side of overtraining. Just because I'm training harder than other people doesn't mean I'm being most productive, and I might be hurting myself. And so like I don't think I overtrained too much training. I think I was really, really responsible for the most part, listening to my body, and it was really hard. Like, I could not have done that last year or growing up. Like, I always overpushed myself, and stopping a workout, like trying to listen to your body, knowing that you need to stop for the sake of your body and it's not because you don't want to do it, is really, really hard. And sometimes you get those mixed up. Like, I'd have to stop a workout because I'm feeling like a little pain in my shoulder or my knee, and I'm like, you have to really talk to yourself and trust yourself that this is what's best for me. I'm not quitting the workout. I'm doing what's best for me. So just listening to my body was really, really huge. And just knowing I am not invincible. I am human. I have to take breaks just like everybody else. Working harder is not necessarily going to get me the results. Working smarter and more productive will. So that was like my main lesson, and that applies to everything in life with work. Just because you work longer hours and you work more than somebody else doesn't mean you're going to be more successful. You might burn yourself out, aka injury in Ironman training. And once you're burnt out, it takes a lot more time to come back to where you were, aka in Ironman training, rehab, and not training that muscle the same way you were before. You would have gotten farther if you just did the more productive steps. I know that was kind of like jumbo, but just being productive and not overstraining yourself, listening to your body, being in tune with yourself spiritually, physically, making sure that you're in a good place. And I watched a video online that kind of goes with this, and it was from a professional triathlete, I think maybe track. It was a runner, and their coach was saying you need to break your training into thirds, and 1/3 of your training you should feel really, really good. 1/3 of your training you should feel okay, a little bit fatigued, but okay. 1/3 of your training you should feel like garbage, like tired, working hard, you need recovery. And when you have those three when you have those three, that means you're in the right place, you're training well, things are going well for you. But a lot of times in life, when we're feeling good or content, we feel like we're not being productive. And so that's how it works for me. I always feel like I have to be wrecked after a workout. If I'm not wrecked after a workout, it didn't do anything for me. And that's not necessarily true. There's the rule of thirds. In life, you feel good 1/3 of the time, you feel okay 1/3 of the time, and it's okay to feel the adversity 1/3 of the time too, because that's where you grow. And you can put that into perspective as a student, as an employee, as a parent. If we just had the one phase the whole time, we're not really growing. And so I really, really liked that. But that was kind of my main lesson that I've learned throughout training. And I'm sure I'll continue to reflect and think of more. And I'm sure after this race, we'll have a new perspective on life in general. Hopefully we can both cross that finish line. But that was kind of what I thought of.
No, that's good. It's like literally in the Garmin watch on your workouts, it gives you, like, for your load, it gives you low aerobic, high aerobic, and anaerobic.
Yeah. Which I did not have a Garmin till, like, a few weeks ago. So I was going off of just how I felt. And then it's interesting to see how the Garmin rates everything.
So that, like, ties into your, like, thirds. Because you need to have, it says if you get your, like, loads for each of those in the optimal range, that's, like, the maximum improvement for your VO2 max and for your fitness.
Right. But yeah, that's been a roller coaster for training. I do want to share one thing Jake shared with me this week. And I want to go back to what you said, or like what we were talking about. Why not you? Why not you to be that person that's, accomplishing these great things? Bet on yourself. Jake came home this week and he said he was speaking to another one of the students at the medical school, and they were just saying how they just didn't quite know what they wanted to do to specialize in medicine. And they were thinking about, didn't they want to do orthopedic surgery?
Dermatology.
Oh, dermatology. They wanted to do dermatology, but they were like, oh, it's just so hard to get into dermatology. Like, the residency is so competitive. You have to have this many papers published, Like, you have to be a really, really good student to get into that residency and that specialty. And Jake, I love this about you. You like sat her down and you're like, wait, like, why can't you do it? You just have to, like, just email this person, get on a project at this time, and then do this. Like, you kind of like walked her through it, and you were like, you could do it. Was it a her?
Yeah.
Okay. And you're like, you could do it. And after Jake said that, she was like, okay, I'm going to email those people tonight. Like, I'm going to do this. And I was like, it made me so happy to hear that. Like, you're doing so good.
Well, so many times people just see, like...
It's so sad to see people just, like, want their dreams and they don't get it.
And that's why I said, like, you should never not do something out of fear of failure, or out of fear of it's too competitive, or I might not get it. Like, that's no reason to not do something you want to do. And, like, so many times you look at the big picture, which we've talked about so many times, and it's easier said than done. But, like, there's no way I can publish 15 papers and do X, Y, Z. And then once you sit down and actually, like, break it out, you're like, oh, that's actually not that bad.
It's so intimidating at first to look at the grand result rather than the steps.
Yeah, it was like, again, like back to the pull-ups, like when I'm like, man, I got to do over 4,000 pull-ups. That seems insane. But then I'm like, actually, I just need to do 5 on the minute. That's not really that hard for 17 hours, but it's not that hard. It's like you just break it down into the steps. So like I talked about the other day with swimming. Like, I really did not think I had it in me to keep swimming that one day. But I'm like, I just got to go 25 yards at a time.
Yeah.
Just one down at a time. Like, just breaking it down to the smaller steps helps so much.
No, and same with Ironman training. You like I think I talked about this too. I'm like, okay, we got to get on this street, and then we'll be good, and then we get on the next street, and then we'll be good. Like you just have to think like break it apart. You know,
we've already been like looking at the maps for the rates and been breaking it into little sections.
Okay, mile 60 to 80. Like we'll do this. Like we have to like give ourselves tasks to do. Like okay, like just to break it up. But regardless, I wanted to go back to what you were talking about, like. And it was a quote I saw online. What did it say? It was something along the lines of, if you're not willing to sacrifice for your dreams become the sacrifice.
Yeah. Yeah, you always choose what you want to sacrifice.
Like, that's so powerful. If you're not willing to sacrifice for your dreams, you know, put in the work, do the papers, train for the Ironman, then that dream becomes the ultimate sacrifice. Like that's so powerful. So something
will always be sacrificed.
Something's always going to be hard. Something will always be sacrificed. You just choose your hard, you know. But we have got to go because we have a Bible study dinner tonight. Jake's part of a Bible study group at school, and they're doing a dinner tonight, and so we got to be there in half an hour. So we better go. But thanks everyone for listening. We publish these every Tuesday. It's just a fun way that Jake and I get to journal our lives together and reflect and document it. But yeah, every Tuesday, and we'll see you next week.